Hello and welcome to McIver's Grant Public Library Storytime Tuesday. Today we are reading our book right here in the middle of the kids zone, right in front of the bookshelves, in front of the stacks. We call them the stacks here at the library. And the reason we're doing that is just to remind you that we are open for browsing. That means that you can come into the library and you can pick your own book off the shelf now. You don't have to stop at the front desk. You can come on back to the kids zone, and we're so happy to be able to see you again. Now, we don't have our toys out yet, and the reading room is not open, and your parents still need to come with you when you come into the library, and we're not doing our programming yet, but we have opened up just a little bit more so you can come on into the kids zone and pick out your own book off the shelf. So I've got a couple books up at the top that are some of my favorites, and we're going to read this book called My Very Favorite Book in the Whole Wide World, and it's written by Malcolm Mitchell, who is a football player. And it's illustrated by Michael Robertson. So, Malcolm Mitchell wrote the words. He's the author of this book. And Michael Robertson drew these wonderful pictures. So he is the illustrator. This is one of our new books to the library, and I thought it was such a wonderful book to be talking about. What book would you pick if you could come in and pick anything off the shelf? Your very favorite book. There's a little pressure of that sometimes, isn't there? This book is published by Orchard Books, and there's a picture of a little boy with a bunch of books. I would have a hard time telling you what my favorite book in the world is because I love so many of them. What about you? Do you already know? What's your favorite book? Think about that. Hi there, I'm Henley, and this is a story about finding my very favorite book in the whole wide world. I like Henley. Doesn't he look like he's just excited about everything? I love his face, is so excited. But it wasn't as easy as it sounds. Reading can be hard, you know. Once upon a time, everyone thought I hated to read, but that's just not true. In some books, the words are too big, the sentence is too long, and there are way too many pages. It took forever and ever and ever. Blah, 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 blah. We waited and waited and waited and waited. Nothing ever happened. Blah, 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 blah. They walked through the desert, and on and on and on and on. Blah, 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 blah. It was a long, long, long journey. Look at all those words all wrapped around him. Have you ever looked at a book on the shelf and thought, those words look big. Those pages are so many. That book's going to go on and on forever. Well, one thing that's good that you can do, I'm just going to interrupt this book just for a minute to tell you that if you see a book that you like the cover, but you think, oh, maybe it might be a little big, you can just get it and flip through it and look at the pictures. Did you know that? And did you know that helps you with your early literacy, helps your brain make those connections? So if you're a big kid and your little brother or sister wants to look at your big book and you say, I don't know, you might be too little, you can help them learn how to read before they even learn how to read by doing that. Isn't that wonderful? I think that's a really cool thing. In other books, the pictures have zero to do with cool things I like or what's inside of me. You got to find something that speaks to your heart in a book, don't you? I do try, but some books are so giant, if I stood on them, I would turn into a giant. Other books are so boring, I'd rather use them as pillows. Now, I will say that I like to read, so a lot of times I don't think a book is boring when other people do, but have you ever had a book you thought was just kind of boring? Just didn't really catch your attention? When I'm supposed to be reading homework, I'd rather play football in the backyard. When I'm asked to read a cookbook to help make dinner, I would rather see how many grapes I can fit into my mouth. So right now, Henley is not a very avid reader, is he? He doesn't just love to get lost in books. Some people do and some people don't. Once I took a wagon full of books to the town swimming pool to find out how good they could swim, and I don't like that. I don't like that page. Oh, please don't do that with your books. If you don't want them, you just bring them up here to Miss Innes and I'll take care of them till you do. When he tried to read books about dinosaurs, they made my brain hurt, so I gave the books back to the dinosaurs. Oh, that hurts my heart too. It's a good thing that dinosaur can't really eat. I've tried reading books about mountains and pickles and aliens and monsters chasing mice and cats chasing mice and mice chasing cats, and I even found a book about cats chasing mice up a mountain while aliens ate pickles with monsters, but none of those made reading easier or more fun. But all that changed when Mrs. Joy gave me the worst homework assignment ever. Look at those monsters eating pickles and cats chasing rats up the mountain. That's a silly book, isn't it? Find your very favorite book in the whole wide world and bring it to school tomorrow. It can be a book about anything. Just make sure you love it because you'll be sharing it with the class. Oh, look at all those children. They're all going to bring a book in tomorrow. That would be a fun day at school, wouldn't it? Unless you were Henley and you didn't really like to read. The school bell sounded like 100 horns blowing in my ear. Thinking about the yucky homework assignment gave me a super headache and made my hands sweaty. Have you ever had a homework assignment that made you have a super headache and your hands were sweaty? Oh my goodness. I have. On the way home from school, I stopped by the mighty library, hoping to find any book that could be my favorite. My friends went into the library ahead of me. When it comes to finding books, I'm not so fast. Inside, there was a nice man sitting behind a jumbo-sized desk. I asked him if he could help me find my very favorite book in the whole wide world. That might be a little pressure. I bet he'll try to help. What do you think? Do you think you'll help him? He showed me books about science and adventure and squishy animals. He flipped through the pages of books about flags and farms and holidays. He'd found plenty of books with a big, twisty words, sentences as long as my legs, and pictures that tangled the pages. It gave me the heebie-jeebies. Oh my goodness, just like we were talking about, wasn't it? A lot of books can be intimidating, can't they? When I saw my friends in the middle of the library having fun and reading, I felt lost more than ever. The next place I tried was Mrs. Rackley's bookshop. Maybe she could help me find my favorite book. Mrs. Rackley did what she does best. She brought piles and piles of books. I looked and looked and looked, but I couldn't call any of them my very favorite book in the whole world. All those pages, all those words made my eyes tired. I realized it was going to take a book miracle to find my favorite book. I grew a sad face and stomped all the way home. I like that line. I grew a sad face. Have you ever grown a sad face? Look at his face there, how sad it is. I'm going to do a little spoiler. Look at his face in there. I think he looks a little happier in that picture, doesn't he? I feel bad that he feels so bad. Mama was unloading the dryer, and she could tell I was having a crummy day. I told her all about the worst ever homework assignment. What do you think? You think Mama can help? The librarian and Mrs. Rackley tried their best to help me find a book, but it was no use. I'll never find my very favorite book in the whole wide world. With a voice as warm as rolls from an oven, Mama said, "Henley, sometimes the best stories can be found inside ourselves." After a sweet kiss on the forehead, Mama's words lit up inside of me. That's when I had a brilliant idea. I love how mamas take care of us. I love how they know exactly the right thing to say sometimes, and they give you those wonderful kisses that only mamas can give you. And look at his bright idea. Doesn't he look better? He grew a happy face instead of a sad face. The next morning, I could hardly wait for my turn to share my favorite book in the whole wide world. There they all are in the circle. He's going to read his favorite book in the whole wide world. What one do you think it was? You think it's the same one as one that you like? What do you think? Let's find out. I stood proud as all eyes in the reading circle stared at me. Everyone thinks I hate to read, but that's not true. Yes, some words are too big and some sentences are too long, but that's not my biggest challenge. Before today, I just hadn't found a book I wanted to read. I hadn't found the words or pictures or pages or sentences or subjects that showed me. It's Very important, isn't it, to find yourself in a book? We can find ourselves in so many different kinds of books. So last night I wrote a book. It's called My Very Favorite Book in the Whole Wide World. It's about a big, fat, bumpy journey to finding the perfect book. My book has words and pictures and pages that show me, and that show you me. When I started reading my book out loud for everyone to hear, I struggled. But soon my words began to flow. The pictures I drew danced off the pages. Everyone can have a very favorite book in the whole wide world, even if they have to write it. When I was done telling my story, all my classmates clapped and cheered. There he's reading his story, and there are all of his friends clapping and cheering at the story he wrote himself. My teacher gave me a gold star on my homework, and that's the truth. Now he does look a lot happier, doesn't he? I like that book. Did you like that book? I like the idea that he might have had a little trouble finding a book, so he decided to write his own. Would you like to write a book? Another thing that is very important that we don't talk about a whole lot about the library, but it's something that we talk about behind the scenes a lot at the library. We talk a lot about making sure that there are books for everybody on our shelves. That's very important to us. That's my job. That's my most important job. So if you come into the library and you're like Henley and you're having trouble finding a book that's just for you, I want you to come talk to me and tell me what you want to read, what you'd like to read, what you want to see in those pages that reflects you and who you are inside, and I will do my best to find those books for you. And if I don't have them, I will use the budget that I have for buying books to buy some, because that is my most important job in this profession. Okay? All right. So I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and you come back and see me next week at 11 o'clock for Storytime Tuesday again. And we're going to have some information about some things we're going to be doing this spring and summer reading. We're planning for that. We're going to have so much fun this summer. It's an animal theme. So I can't wait to give you a little bit more information next week. And I hope until then you're thinking about what your favorite book in the whole world might be and what kind of book you might write if you wanted to write your own.